5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
As Catholics, we're called to follow Jesus' example and love everyone. But that idea of loving everyone is sometimes misunderstood and sometimes misused. So what does it mean to say that we love everyone? What does that look like in our personal lives and in our lives as a society and a culture? That's what we're going to be talking about today on Ignition. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Bergwald, and we want to set your faith ablaze so that you might live out the adventure that comes from a relationship with Jesus Christ. Before we get into today's topic, we want you to know that we love listener feedback. So if you've got questions about today's episode, or if you have ideas for future ones, please contact us. The easiest way to do so is by email, and the address is ignition@sfcatholic.org. Again, ignition@sfcatholic.org. I'm joined in studio once again by Renae Kranz. She's still here. I have not phased her out yet.
He is working on it,
She's convinced that that's part of the master, Chris's providential plan, but we talked last week about divine providence, so that's not part of my plan, Kranz.
Whatever.
Relax. Do you want to be phased out? I mean, I can make it happen. Okay.
No.
All right.
I don't want to be phased out.
So, our topic today, how I really wanted to go with an Inigo Montoya reference as an open to the show.
Oh, this is fun.
Hold on. Let's go to our trusty. What is the title for producer? Engineer. Our trusty engineer, Elise, who's off camera and off mic somehow. Elise, do you know who Inigo Montoya is?
I knew you were going to ask and no.
She does not know.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Yes, it's from
Does that mean anything to you?
I mean, maybe.
No, it either does or doesn't. There is no maybe. There is no lukewarm. I will vomit you out of my mouth. Yes or no?
No.
I wish we could have camera because this is what I'm seeing right now. No.
No.
Inigo Montoya from...
Where is he from?
Yeah.
I don't remember where he's from. I think you
were just about to say it.
The movie?
Huh?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's from The Princess Bride.
Yes.
I should have known. That's like my favorite movies.
It's definitely a movie that I quote. It's highly
quotable.
Because highly quotable.
Yes.
I think on your honeymoon, which is coming up here soon, you and your...
Actually, she's not taking a honeymoon.
Oh, that's right. Oh, instead, perfect. So, you guys should watch.
At least not yet.
Not yet.
She'll take one later.
You should watch Princess Bride. Because there's another famous line in there.
Just another one? Just one more?
What's it? Fazzini keeps saying, inconceivable. And Inigo says in response, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
That has been used countless times.
Countless times on Ignition. Many an episode of Ignition. I can't keep titling it episodes with that. I want to, but you can't keep. You can only really do that once. Well, you could bleh. You keep using that word. Yeah. In this case, were I to title that we love. Mm-hmm. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. So, I don't know if you want to speak in broad generalities here, but this topic came out of a conversation that you and I were having as a recording a couple weeks beforehand.
Yeah. I think, lots of people are going to know what I'm talking about. A lot of people use our definition, our conception of love right now as a way to, how do I want to say it? Make sin okay.
Yeah.
Is that how I want to say it? I think so.
Well, you just said it, so
I think that's how I want to say it.
Okay.
Or to make things that shouldn't be happening. Yeah. To make sin okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
I've done it myself.
Sure. Yeah.
A long time ago.
There is definitely, and it's not a new trend, but maybe it's becoming more popular to misuse the idea of love.
Yeah, I think it is because of the idea of tolerance and acceptance.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep. So, we should love we're told, Jesus, you hear from fellow Catholics, fellow Christians, Jesus loved everyone, and so should you, or so should we. Yes, that is completely true.
Right.
So were I to be talking to such a person, and what's implicit is, well, and you're not.
Right.
Well,
Right.
what
You
do you
obviously
mean?
don't do it right.
Right. You're not loving so well, Bergwald. What do you mean? Well, you think that some people are bad. No, I don't. Well, you think that some
you're judging
things,
them
You're
or
judging them.
whatever
You
it
think
is,
that, and we've talked about this before.
Yep.
We've talked about that certainly in the context of the whole LGBTQ thing. An episode from early 2022, I think.
Right.
We did on that. But other contexts too.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very loving. Well, slow your roll there, friend.
Right.
What does it mean to love? I really do think you keep using that word, and I really don't think it means what you think. Well, you might have your own meaning of what love is, but that's not how I understand love. And I, if I may be so bold, and I will be so bold because he explains what he means. Jesus, that's not how Jesus meant what Jesus meant when he talked about loving either.
Right. We do need to understand this because it is the second great commandment.
Yeah, it's the
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Love is the heart of the great commandments.
Right.
Love God and love your neighbor as yourself. Love is at the heart of our Christian faith.
Right.
So people, when they say this, they're right that love is really important, but I think they're at least a little bit wrong when it comes to what does it mean to love. So I definitely would agree. In this conversation, I definitely would agree with somebody. To love does not mean
Right.
to wag. I'm wagging my finger right now. If you're listening to this, Renee, it does not mean to judge out of pride and arrogance.
Right.
Well, that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, with that kind of
I don't do that, so you shouldn't do that either.
Yeah, the arrogance and
kinda-
condescension. That's definitely not. I would agree. That's not love. But when I say to somebody who's living in a way that goes contrary to what God has revealed to us about what it means to be human, which is what a sin is, every sin.
Yes.
When I get impatient with my kids, I'm living in a way that is contrary to what it means to be human.
Right.
The smallest things. If I were to overindulge in food, which has never happened.
No, I've never done that either.
That would be to live contrary to what it means to be human. God gives us the manufacturer's manual to what it means to be human. That's what his moral teachings are. They're not arbitrary impositions. This is, hey, you want to be happy? You want to flourish? You want to be fully alive? Follow these tips.
Directions.
Here's your life hacks.
I don't think Jesus called them life hacks. But
It's a new hip translation. The 10 life hacks. That's what it is.
Now, wouldn't that be interesting? You just said something funny, like the Bible
Why,
translated into social media language.
Oh my gosh, lols.
This could be very interesting.
This would be interesting.
Everything would be life hacks and
We're not gonna do that.
You're not going to do. Okay. Someone will do it
I'm too
eventually if they
old
haven't
to.
already.
I don't. I'm not on social media hardly ever. Blah blah blah. And I totally. What now?
What?
What are we talking about?
Oh, stop it.
So, when we say, so love is at the heart of our faith, we don't condescend. We definitely should not condescend. But there's another extreme too. If somebody is doing something that obviously, okay, I'm going to use a silly example to make the point.
Okay.
If somebody is on their phone checking their social media account, lols, and they walk out into the street and there's an oncoming car, hey, you be you.
Yep.
You know, I love you.
Yep.
I'm going to respect your choice. I'm going to respect your decision because that's what love is.
Right.
Being tolerant, being accepting of your choices right now as you walk out in front
And
of
celebrate them too.
Yeah. As you walk out in front
cheering
of
you on.
the Mack truck.
Right.
That's not love.
No. That's irresponsibility.
That's
on your part.
Yeah, it is. It's the the loving thing to do is to stop somebody when they're about to get crushed by the oncoming Mack truck.
Right.
And when somebody says, well, we're supposed to love them instead of judging them. Well, again, If by judging you mean finger wagging, condescension, and arrogance, I agree. But if by judgment you mean, what you're doing right now is bad for you, spiritually, psychologically, physically, eventually, potentially. If I say that, and I really want you to stop doing that, even if how exactly I say that, what exactly I communicate, how I communicate, the words I say or don't say, that's all important. But my desire and my intention should be to help this person stop doing what they're doing,
Right.
Because it's doing them at some level harm,
Right.
and damage,
Right.
And because I love them, I want them to stop. Because to love does not mean just to let somebody do whatever they want to do.
Right.
That's not love.
And that is a mistaken belief right
It's
now.
an absolutely mistaken belief. To love means to want, to desire, to will the good for somebody. I want what's best for you. I want you to thrive. And what you're doing right now, walking out in the middle of the street, not paying attention, is not going to help you thrive.
Right. So this is where sometimes it gets complicated with the world right now, is what the world considers to be good and what God considers to be good.
Yeah, so this kind of gets that's why the whole owner's manual or the life hacks thing. There's a related question. Well, how do you know?
Right.
How do you know that your way is the right way?
Right.
How do you know that your way is in fact the life hack, the divine life hack? That your way is the moral teaching? And that's an important question, but it's a separate question.
Yes. True.
So they're distinct questions. What I want to emphasize, and maybe we'll get there today, but what I want to emphasize and focus on today is, if I, as a Christian, because you hear this from fellow Christians, including fellow Catholics.
I see that on social media all the time.
Yeah. No, but as Catholics, as Christians, we do believe that God has revealed the truth of what it means to be human and how to live in a way that leads to flourishing, fulfillment, and authentic happiness. As Christians, we should believe that. And therefore, if we love somebody, we would want them to follow those directions, those instructions, those life hacks, those commandments.
Yes.
That's what love is. So I'm going to pause there. We're about halfway through the show. So when you hear that, in light of what you've seen on social media, conversations you've been part of, do you have any questions? I'd be curious to know, why do you think this is such an obstacle or a hang up in our culture today? But you can feel free to redirect the conversation.
No, I think that's a good question, because there is no truth.
Yep.
So if there's no truth, then how can you judge anybody on anything?
Yep.
I think that's really fundamentally where this problem comes from.
Yep.
So, I mean, if my neighbor's doing something they shouldn't be doing, that's only my opinion.
Right.
According to the world.
Right.
He can do whatever he wants, and
Right.
it's considered good.
Yep, that's true. In the Bible, I'm picking up the Bible. In the Bible, it says, I think in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yes. Oh, but we sure think there is, don't we? We think we're coming up with new stuff all the time.
I mean, yeah, there were no iPhones,
Sure.
20 years ago,
but
let
our
alone 2,000 years
actions,
ago.
our thinking about things, none of that's new.
Right, none of that's new. So this is from the book of Judges.
That's an old book.
It's an old book that talks about events that happened among the Israelites around 1100 BC.
Yeah. So more than 3,000 years ago.
More than 3,000 years ago. This is how the book of Judges ends. This is Judges 21:20. It's literally, if you pulled up a Bible, go to the very last page of Judges. It's in the Old Testament. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges.
If you have gone from the beginning and you've made it to Judges, I applaud you.
We applaud. Maybe with Father Mike Schmitz's help, you did that.
Right.
Bible into your podcast. Father Mike grew up 15 minutes away from me. Do you know that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. There's central Minnesota, man. Lots of water in central Minnesota. This is the end of Judges. In those days, there was no king in Israel. Every man did what was right in his own eyes. Every man did what was right in his own eyes. And if you read Judges, so Judges is not like Leviticus or Numbers where there's just, and this tribe, there were this many people, and this
I need to
sub-tribe,
read Judges. It sounds
and
like an interesting book.
People are literally hacked into pieces.
Oh.
And those pieces sent off to different parts of the... If Judges were made into a true to life movie, it'd probably be rated X for the
My
violence.
goodness.
It's yeah.
I need to read this.
It's
book.
Renee is strangely excited right now to
Yes.
read.
At least is terrified of me at the
Yeah,
moment.
what's,
It sounds very interesting.
So
Or
this
terrifying.
it's a horrific time in the history of Israel. It's chaotic. Culture in Israel is completely disordered and chaotic. Even the Levites, the priests, they're doing all sorts of bad stuff.
Yikes. And yet God still
Last week
did not destroy us.
he didn't. Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, "Oh, we must be getting towards the end times."
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I know. Yeah. So that you would use the word relativism earlier, and that's why I thought of Judges.
Yeah.
Because in Israel, millennia ago, 3,000 plus years ago, every Israelite did what was right in his own eyes.
That's relativism.
That's
right there.
relativism.
Yep.
And we would say to the people of Israel in the era of the Judges, "How's that working out for you?"
Clearly not very
so
well. Ugh,
And how's it working for us? Working out for us today?
not well.
so well.
We've never been more divided as a people, and I'm not talking politically.
I don't even want to say the Civil War. We're pretty divided.
That's true. That's true. But it maybe wasn't felt in the same way because you didn't have things like the internet where you
Totally
can see
true.
it every day.
Totally true.
Every minute of every day if you want to.
Yep.
So
that's absolutely true.
yeah.
Absolutely true. So, Jesus loved everyone. So should you. So should we. I agree. But that does not mean what you think it means, depending on the person.
So how do we do it? How do we do it, smarty pants?
Okay. How do we love people?
Yeah.
So it does mean, and we've talked about this in the show before. Pope Francis talks about the word accompaniment.
Yes.
And the importance to accompany people. And the go-to illustration of how to accompany people for me comes from the end of Luke's Gospel, chapter 24. It's right after, it's the day of the resurrection, the first Sunday. There are two disciples who are leaving Jerusalem.
Yeah. The road to Emmaus.
The road to
yeah.
Emmaus. They're going to the nearby village of Emmaus. And Jesus, one of those things where he puts on his disguise and walks with them.
Right.
And I'll ask people, so like we see Jesus exemplify accompaniment in the Road to Emmaus account. And what's the first thing that he does? And they'll go through, and at what point, if you read it closely, the first thing that Jesus does, because he walks with them. Or he asks them questions. Yeah, he does, but that's the first thing. Well, he walks with them. Yeah, he does, but that's the first thing. Well, he listens to them. Yeah, he does, but that's not the first thing. The first thing he does is he joins them. Jesus does not stand far off and wag his finger at them. Where are you guys going? Why are you leaving Jerusalem right now? Hey, I'm alive. Here I am. You're going the wrong way. He does not do that. He meets them, to use the trite phrase, the cliche, he meets them where they're at, even though they're going the wrong way. They're leaving Jerusalem,
right.
the holy city, and they're doing it. It's moving on. It's the afternoon, moving towards evening, and they're walking. It's not like they're driving.
They're
to
not going to get there.
They're not going to get there. Right. And after dark, there are people who are prepared to plunder you, or maybe kill you.
Right.
So they're going the wrong way at the wrong time of day, and Jesus walks with them. He joins them and walks with them nonetheless. And he listens to them, and he asks them questions, and then he rebukes them.
Yes, he does.
You fools.
Yeah, not in a light way.
No. Like, hey, you guys are kind of missed something. Right. No, he calls them fools.
That's a strong word.
It's a strong word.
It's not loving.
Jesus,
at least
warm, fuddly, and cousinly. Warm, fuzzy, and cuddly. Ask the disciples going to Emmaus.
Right.
Ask Peter when he said, "Get behind me, Satan."
Right. Yes.
There's a book that I bought years ago for the title, Jesus, Mean and Wild.
You've told me about this one before. I need to read that book.
Yeah. The title. Is,
Oh, that's the only good part about the book.
It was fine, but the title
You did
was...
say that.
So how do we do it? We don't stand far off. We enter in... But this...
Ooh.
We enter into the messiness of it, but we don't want to. No. So this is the thing. The reason why it's easy... Why...
Oh, you're so right now. Oh, I hate when you're right.
The reason why people will say, not just other people, but the reason I'll say, well, we got to love everybody, is because it's easier. It's easier for me just to be tolerant and me to just affirm, I'm using air quotes if you're listening, your choices. Because if I'm really going to love you, it means I have to walk with you. I have to enter into your mess. And that's not easy and it's not fun.
Right.
Even forget about having to say hard things potentially, just to walk with you as you're going the wrong way. If you're going the wrong way,
Right.
is not easy and not fun. But that's what love is like. What do parents do with their babies? They literally clean up their crap. Literally,
And their barf and their snot,
exactly,
and their tears, and
right. And I've had 5 kids. Jermaine, God bless her, changed most of the diapers, but I've changed my share of diapers, and I do it out of love for my kids. I did it out of love for my kids. I literally entered into their crap. It's true.
This is the best show ever.
To love people means to enter into the mess.
Right.
Potential. Not everybody.
Right.
I mean,
everybody has a mess of some sort.
Mess of some
might
sort.
be bigger than others.
Right, and that doesn't mean so, Renae. Like I'm not into your. I mean, just our relationship. I do love you. I want what's best for you. But I'm not.
You've entered into some messes with me before.
That's true. I have, but not the way that your husband Ryan
Right, no,
would.
no.
Not the way that your parents
Work messes.
would. Right, work messes.
Yes.
I mean, those do happen on occasion,
They do.
even in the church.
Right.
To love people, and so I see this. All the people say, well, I just no. Why? No, you're not loving them. You're removing yourself from them. You're just whatever. I really love my friends. That's not love.
Yeah.
That's the easy way out.
And I think you're saying to them, I don't really care what happens to you.
You may not intend that,
Yeah.
and they may not receive it that way.
Right.
But in fact, that's what you are doing.
Yes.
I don't care.
And they may receive it that way eventually.
Right.
Because if they come around to realizing that, this really isn't the way I should be going, why didn't any of you help me or tell me that?
Yep.
Which
Yep.
is, yeah.
I thought you were my friends. Well, but I don't want you to get mad at me.
Right.
Totally get it. People might get mad at you.
I would expect that.
But this is where I think, okay, so a couple things. Loving does not necessarily, so depending on the relationship and how I'm journeying with you. So I work with you. I see you on almost daily basis. I know you a lot more than the grocery store checkout clerk.
Yes.
So the way that I'm going to accompany the grocery store checkout clerk is different than the way that I accompany Renae Kranz. Right.
And the way you accompany me and the way you accompany your wife is also very different.
Exactly. Right. Absolutely. However, I'm called to accompany all of you.
Right.
My wife, my colleagues, my checkout clerk. What that looks like with the person, depending on the relationship, is going to vary. So with the grocery store checkout clerk, I try to make eye contact and smile. And if there's somebody who, because me being me, I get to know the people at the grocery store.
I'm so
How you doing?
shocked.
In fact, there's one.
That's because you go to the grocery store at the same time every week.
Yeah, I do. I'm just going to use her first name. Deb no longer works at my grocery store. She has another role within the chain that I shop at. And I was going to text Deb the other day and say, Deb, I miss seeing you because I don't see her anymore. Because she worked at the grocery store that I go to. She was there before I got there, and she was there for like 15 years.
Wow.
So I got to know. I know her last name.
And
I know where she's from.
You have her phone number, so you can
I have her
text
phone number.
Wow, that is so funny.
Elise is losing it over in the corner.
Only Dr. Bergwald would have the phone number of his checkout
She
clerk.
wasn't the checkout clerk. She worked at the grocery store. She was a department manager.
Oh, well, still. I mean, I can't say that I have any of those.
Right. So the way that I have accompanied Deb is different than the checkout clerk who I don't know.
Right.
But I'm called to do that and truly love them. So Deb and I would have real conversations about life from time to time. Yeah, I do have her number. She has mine, but we're not in regular contact. Right. But that's what love looks like, is entering into the mess. So where I was going with that is maybe I'm not called to challenge the way that Jesus challenged the two disciples with this particular person I'm accompanying at this point in their life. But this person, maybe I am called to.
There's an appropriate way for every person you're in contact with.
Who I'm, the best way to accompany the person I'm walking with. Just as Jesus was a master craftsman. His dad was a carpenter. And we're called to imitate him and use the right form of love in the moment for this person.
Right.
That takes a lot of wisdom, takes docility to the Holy Spirit. But that's what love is. Love is not just, oh, you be you.
Right.
Whatever.
That's a cop-out.
It's a cop-out. It's cowardly, to be honest. Now, I can be a coward.
Oh, yes.
I can absolutely be a coward. Thanks for affirming me and my cowardice.
Me too. How about that?
I know. But that's where I'm not in this alone either.
Right.
Jesus gives me the strength. Jesus will give you, Renae, and you, the listener or viewer, the strength to love other people in an authentic way where it is really about, I want what's best for you.
Right.
I want you to turn around and go back to Jerusalem.
Yep. Before it gets dark. And even if you don't, I'm still walking with you. Right.
As long as Jesus wants, as long as we're in this together, I'm going to accompany you the best way that I know how, according to what God prompts me to do. Amen?
Amen.
I
love it.
That's what love is, folks. And folks, that will wrap up this episode of Ignition. Again, you can email us, ignition at sfcatholic.org with questions about this or ideas for other episodes. And until next time, may God bless you.